Welcome to Marketing 101. Today's lesson is association. Let's say you made a shitty dinosaur game that you funded by using whatever coins you found in your pocket that day, but you still want to sell this thing so you can make some of those pennies back. So what you do is you take something that people associate positively with dinosaurs, like say the greatest movie ever made, Jurassic Park, take the name Jurassic, slap it onto your shitty product, and boom, people have interest in it. People will look at it, see the word Jurassic, think about Jurassic Park, think about how cool that movie is, and they will think that this thing has to be cool too. Boom, there are now people that own this game. It all makes sense now. Ahoy. Yes, today we are playing Jurassic the Hunted on the Xbox 360. Why? Because when I was reaching for Jurassic Park the game, I ended up grabbing this instead. So here we are. Jurassic the Hunted released in 2009 and nobody cared. Which is surprising because this is a game that combines dinosaurs and Call of Duty, two things that kids love, and it was made by Activision, the people behind Call of Duty. I bought this game shortly after it came out and I hated it. See, a young Soblev wasn't a hard gamer to please. He, to this day, quotes Naughty Bear as one of his favorite video games of all time. Yeah, this thing somehow found a way to disappoint. Jurassic the Hunted was a budget title, a game that Activision used its lunch money to make so that it could sell something for the holidays. But even with that low of a standard, the game was really underwhelming and poorly made. Probably the most apparent issue the game had was its frame rate. And this isn't the case where a game will have consistently decent frame rates that sometimes get bad. No, Jurassic the Hunted is a game where the frame rate is consistently bad that sometimes gets worse. The frame rate is so bad. How bad is it? It's so bad that you can see in the trailer for the game how bad it is. Look at this shot, it's just showing the landscape and the lava is somehow running at 24 frames per second. Wow, so at least we can appreciate that Activision didn't try to pretty up the trailer to make the game look a lot better than it is. But yes, Jurassic the Hunted is a game I did not like and never finished playing it as a kid. But I've been seeing online lately a lot of people talking about this game and reminiscing, so I thought, why not give it another shot? And I will do my absolute best to look past the frame rate to truly see what the game has to offer. Though I did also move my trash can into the living room, just in case I ended up being right all those years ago. So Jurassic the Hunted starts with our character Dylan, who's an ex-Navy SEAL with his partner Rock and scientist Sabrina on a plane flying over the Bermuda Triangle in search for Sabrina's father. But the plane starts to get some turbulence, we jump off and are teleported through a vortex that sends us into a jungle with dinosaurs trying to eat us. So Dylan must make his way through the woods and search for both Sabrina and Rock, but while he does that, he must fight his way through waves of dinos. Now we aren't dealing with a survival horror where we must manage our resources. We are actually more of a Doom guy, but with dinosaurs. You're just making your way through the woods with big guns and clearing out the waves of dinos coming after you. The controls are pretty simple. If you played a Call of Duty game, then this will feel like familiar territory. A is our jump button, but with this game you can also add a slash to drop the frame rate by half. Oh boy, this really is bad. I told myself I'm not gonna do this. B crouches down on the D-pad lets us interact with objects or pick up weapons, and the Y button switches our guns, of which we can hold up to 4. I do wish they had the D-pad be our weapon select and move the interact button to X. It just becomes a little annoying when you're in combat and you have to switch weapons because you're low on bullets, but you have to do it multiple times to get to the desired gun, all while Raptor is leaping on you. Now the weapon variety is pretty good here. It ranges from pistols to shotguns to assault rifles to RPGs and even a crossbow with explosive arrows. At one point we even get this musket that after firing a bullet we gotta watch Dylan slowly reload another one. I do like this weapon, I think it's cool and continues this game's theme of objects misplayed through time. Plus, I like watching the reload process. It's cool that the game shows us what it has to go through to load the next frame. Nothing funnier than a raptor zooming at you in 30 miles per hour while you solve a Rubik's Cube. We do also get grenades, but I never found use in using them because the raptors are too quick to use them against. Now visually, the game does look really good for 2009. Now yes, the frame rate is a huge burden, but if you just take a screenshot, which by the way you can do by pressing the A button, you can look at the environment and see the game does look pretty solid. It has some fun sets like volcanoes, wooden bridges on treetops, and random shipwrecks. Now the character models are a bit on the bad side of things, but you barely see any of them, so it's not too much of an issue. Now what about the dinosaurs themselves? How do they look? Well, I saw one person online criticize the game for having lizard style looking dinosaurs like the way Jurassic Park had them look. For me, that's not a critique, I love it! Plus the vibrant colors in some of these dinosaurs make some sick looking creatures, and these are the way I prefer my dinosaurs. The game's overall aesthetic and gameplay really made me think of those Jurassic Park shooter pods you see at almost every arcade. So much so, I felt tempted to find a coin slot in my 360. Now, quick update on the plot. We end up finding Sabrina's father and reuniting with the rest of our team, and from there it's just a game of getting together the necessary parts to create a machine that'll send us back home. So the plot is pretty simple, predictable. It's thin like paper, you can run the game's frame rate on it. But you know what? That's not a complaint. I like the B-movie tone that this game has. For a game that's essentially Rambo being sent back in time, I didn't need a serious and heartfelt story. We didn't get a touching scene where Sabrina is reunited with her father because the game knows we just want to get to the part where we shoot the lizards. Now let's talk about the actual combat sequences. So we reach an area where raptors start charging us, and it's up to us to fill these guys with bullets. Now the dinosaurs are absolute bullet sponges. They aggressively charge you, so the game is pretty fast paced. And if you're dealing with a whole pack on your ass, it's constant movement trying to keep all of them within your line of sight, considering that they will jump you and charge at you simultaneously. These raptors move quickly, and sometimes they will bop out of the way of oncoming fire, making hitting these guys pretty difficult. Gotta say, honestly, the combat sequences are pretty fun, but again, the frame rate ruins it. Now, if we press the left button, we enter Adrenaline Rush, where we slow things down and can highlight a dinosaur's vital organs and fuck up their kidneys. It was at this point the game really reminded me of Cabela's Dangerous Hunts, and that made me feel stupid because of course it does, these games are literally made by the same 3 studios. Now, Jurassic the Hunted has some simple level designs. Sometimes you'll enter an area and you'll just know that something's about to go down here. Other times we were given these fortification levels where we must bunker down, and the game turned into Black Ops Zombies where we must rebuild barricades and stop raptors from trying to get in. Now the first time you do this, it's actually really easy, as you can just calmly walk in a circle, clear out the raptors in the window, give a slight rebuild, and move on to the next window. Hell, I noticed explosive barrels conveniently laid out in the field, but I didn't even end up needing them. I caught myself calling this mode far too easy to be any fun, but I soon ate my own words, because in the next section where we must do another fortification, the layout made it impossible to keep up with the raptors because they really take down those barricades quickly and start jumping through. There are no breaks between rounds, so after you clear and fix window A while you run to try and clear window B, window A is probably almost done being broken, and I still haven't even thought about window C. It creates a sense of panic, which sure I guess is a good thing, but at that point I just choose to back up completely and let the raptors come to me so I can just mow them down. So with these fortification missions, it's either too easy, it's not even fun, or impossible to manage, there is no in between. Also, don't try to throw grenades through the window, so you'll get a Looney Tunes moment. Now sometimes the game will pan the camera and show a really cool set piece, but then immediately attach it to a turret where you must mow down enemies charging towards you. It's fine, but on cool sets like the ship, it'd be a lot more fun to be running and gunning it. I do also wish the game had a bit more ambushes going on. See, the game has a thing where once we enter combat, some hard rock generic music plays. But one time I was checking out a supply crate and suddenly I was being attacked by a raptor I forgot to clear out, and there wasn't even any music playing. Now, expecting music to play once combat's on its way misses the point of having us be the hunted. It doesn't work that way in real life. But when this happened, it didn't feel like a moment where we got snuck up on. Rather, the game just forgot to play the music. But it did make me wish the game had more moments where raptors would be lurking in grassy areas, hard to see, and really set up for a good jump scare. But let's talk about the biggest issue I have with Jurassic the Hunted, which is surprisingly not the frame rate. It's the enemy variety. The enemies we deal with in Jurassic the Hunted range from raptors to big raptors to even bigger raptors to small raptors to even smaller raptors. Basically, if your silhouette looks like this, you're fucked. Now, let's be fair, there was a Dilophosaurus that would spit acid at you from a distance, but again, it's just a long-range raptor. Plus, these things are way too Hogan's Alley for me. See, you're telling me that the Dilophosaurus would stand in one place and just spit at me for an hour rather than make any continual progress? See, it'd be one thing if the Dilo hits us and blinds us for a few seconds and in that time advances closer to us, it'd make things a bit more intense, kinda like being flashbanged. But no, it's just gonna stand there, spit at me, and tell me I like it. Oh, we did have pteranodons in the game, but these things were barely enemies. Sometimes when you're walking in the jungle, they'll fly over you to give you a quick scratch and just immediately fly away. Now, sure, the treetop level, we did have a bunch of pteranodons flocking around us, but again, they just attack you once and fly away, never to return. I understand them not coming back and swarming us like bees because that would have been way too much for the game to handle. I'd need to pull its hair back. Really, the closest the game ever came to having actual enemy variety was these giant scorpions that attack in swarms that sure are a bit but at least it was something other than a raptor. It sucks though, cause the game could have easily had some awesome variety like a Stegosaurus or a Triceratops. Now, sure, those are the nice dinosaurs, but that doesn't mean squat. Sure, a rhino is an herbivore, but that doesn't mean it can't kill you. In Cabela's, the second boss fight was against a rhino that just showed up out of nowhere. It was pissed, it was probably scared, but hey, I gotta do me, buddy. They could have easily done that with this game, or at the very least have these things act like obstacles. At one point, we almost get run over by a swarm of Pachycephalopoda. These guys, and that was honestly a tense moment, having to watch your step in case another one came through. Not to spend the entire game going back to Cabela, but there was another part where we were walking through the tall grass and a random hippo just charged through us and we gotta duck out of the way. That would have been fun to see here, or maybe a part where a family of Brachiosauruses are walking by and we gotta navigate around their feet like a double dash. But no, any other dinosaur types in this game are relegated to being corpses. Hell, the back of the game shows an image of a living Triceratops. Bullshit, there wasn't one anywhere in the game. Now I know with this game's frame rate and polish, asking to do any of that is a bit much. It will cause the 360 to spit the game out. But it would at least prevent the game from feeling really repetitive with all these raptor fights. Now it's time to talk about the boss battles. The game has 4 of them and they are all f***ing garbage. The first one has you walk into a large field and you're like, ooh, something big's about to go down. And then we see raptors running away from something. Ooh, something really big's about to go down. And then you see it's just a slightly bigger raptor. That's it? So not only is it underwhelming as fuck, but it's also brain dead. See, right before the boss fight, the game gives you a power-up for unlimited adrenaline for 30 seconds. So when we get to the Utah Raptor, I used the power-up and just emptied all my bullets into the Utah's fucking pancreas and I won the fight. Just for the record, in later points of the game, it throws you 2 of these Utah Raptors and it's not registered as a boss fight. This is so lame. The battlefield made it look like something even more epic was gonna take place, considering that it has these giant eggs like that explode when you shoot them. I get it, create a hazard to lure your enemy and use your environment against them, but I didn't fucking need it! The game is such a cock tease. It has all these gigantic eggs laid out, making me think, ooh, something big's about to come out and fuck me. And then it throws me a Utah Raptor that definitely didn't lay these eggs. Is Activision trying to tell me something about Utah's stance on abortion? All these eggs ended up accomplishing is making me crave an omelet. Time for the second boss battle against the T-Rex. So the boss fight starts with a cutscene of a giant boulder falling and trapping us in a fight against the king of the dinosaurs. And let's just say this intro has the worst sound design. We mount the turret and start to fill the T-Rex with bullets while it just fucking stands there and gives us a look of, wow, you're really wearing that shirt? Hey. And then runs away. From that point, we have to shoot the pteranodons flying over us. Are you fucking kidding me? In a boss battle against a T-Rex, our focus is this? After about 40 seconds of shooting these stupid birds, we see the T-Rex charge at us, which would be an oh shit, oh shit, oh shit moment. But then it just stops. It just stands there and maybe takes a nibble. Hell, at one point it just ran into a wall. This was such a lame boss battle. See, the Utah Raptor set a low standard, and this one somehow did it. It managed to disappoint. It finally ends and the T-Rex is dead, but hey, that shitty boss battle you just had to do, I hope you liked it, because you have to do it again. Oh, but this time it's red. Is there a difference this time? There is no fucking difference. Let's get to the third boss battle, which is against the Spinosaurus named Spike. Now the build up to this boss fight was actually pretty good. We walk through a cave where the thing tries to lash out at us before moving on. We see a pack of Pachycephalopoda. This thing running away from something, and then the game gives us an RPG. This is some good build up. We get to the battlefield where we see a cutscene of Sabrina running away from Spike, and then we get to see him do a cool roar that gets immediately ruined by him clipping through the tree branch. Ah, you almost had it. And when it's time for this awesome confrontation, this is the scene we get.
Hey, Spike! Come on, boy! Come here, you big piece of overgrown...
Finish the thought! But besides that, the fight itself is actually pretty good. This thing is large, intimidating. Using RPGs to keep our distance was fun. Overall, I'd say this is the first time the game got things right. I had to say something. Okay, the fight itself was good. The post-fight is what gets me angry. It ends with a shot of Spike screaming, and then we get to see another T-Rex entering the frame. The two fight in another terribly done job by the audio department. The fight ends with Spike breaking the T-Rex's neck. Oh boy. As a Jurassic Park fan, I must ask, who do I blame for this? I think I'm just gonna prop this open. So the third boss fight was good, just the semantics surrounding the fight pissed me off on a personal level. But let's get to the final boss fight of the game. Our characters have everything they need to go home, but then Spike shows up and we must hold him off so that Sabrina's dad can fix the teleporter. So we gotta stop Spike from breaking down the barricade, and we do that by shooting him through the windows and luring his head through it to get some easy shots in. This is kind of a lame final boss. See, it wouldn't be bad as a regular boss fight in the game, but as the big finale, this is kind of flaccid. Especially considering you don't even need to beat the final boss. When I got Spike's health down to 25%, a cutscene plays showing Dylan and Sabrina escaping through the portal while Rock stays back to hold off Spike. Yes, you beat the game by not actually beating it. What kind of shit is this? We see a cutscene of Dylan and Sabrina landing on a beach before we see Rock and Sabrina's dad teleporting in on a ship with Spike attached to it. A, why would they do that? B, how did they do that? Sabrina hugs us and we are shown the credits. Now, we do have an extra game mode, the survival mode. It's basically the fortification gameplay turned into a game mode. We fight off waves of dinosaurs, and at the end of each wave, we have a couple of seconds to regroup, build barricades, upgrade our weapons and defenses. It's a fun, standard game mode, and going for a high score is a good time. Survivor was the biggest point of praise this game got on the internet, though I will say it could have definitely used some more maps. Also, I was really expecting this game mode to have a multiplayer option, but I was shocked it didn't. I saw in the box that this game had Xbox Live, but that's only to look at online leaderboards for the survival mode. Which A, is misleading, and B, kinda sus because this seemed like the perfect mode for two-player action. But then again, the game probably wouldn't have been able to handle it, and honestly, it just continues the whole theme of the game.
Jurassic the Hunted, in my eyes, is a game that had a lot of potential, and it easily could have been a solid title if more of a shit had been given. And I understand it's a budget title, but keep in mind who we're dealing with here. Activision in 2009, when they had Guitar Hero and Call of Duty filling their pockets and turning their houses into banks, they could have easily hired people to make this a good game. But instead, we got this, the budgetiest of budget titles. They probably spent less money on this game than I have on Pringles cans.
I mean, let's look at the manual. It's all in black and white.
They cheaped out on toner!
Even the loading screens were cheap. They show us some bare bones info on either the story or a dinosaur, and most of the time it's showing you the exact same text and not even the right dinosaurs being pictured. Fuck, this game has a grammatical error.
Jurassic the Hunted is a soulless game. It had no imagination and barely any thought went into it. This game is so bare bone, if I had a dog, I'd feed this to it. And if you take into account how simple this game is and the fact that it's only an hour and a half long, you'd think it'd be able to at least run well, but it doesn't do that either. See, back then I wanted to get the 360 version because to me, back then, hardware-wise, this would have been the best version. If this is what we have here, I can only imagine how this game is on lesser hardware.
Fuck it, I'm curious. Jurassic the Hunted on Wii. The first thing I'm noticing is that they took out the survival mode. And you know what? That's not too surprising because I remember the Wii version of World at War didn't include Nazi zombies. But what makes it more of a heinous crime here is the fact that the back of the box says it's still here. See, World at War you can say was too big for the Wii to not include Nazi zombies, but this has no excuses not to include the one good thing about this game and then fucking lie about it. Also, weird thing about the box, on the spine the logo is in blue with a pink background instead of the normal green logo with a yellow background.
I'm really being nitpicky, aren't I?
So visually the game looks worse, though I don't think anyone is surprised by that, and the frame rate isn't too far behind. I do appreciate that in this game the subtitles were included. On the 360 that wasn't even an option. This game can be played with the Wii Zapper, which I don't own, so we're gonna go with the Wiimote and Nunchuck. And oh boy, it feels so nauseating and uncoordinated. To turn on the Wii version, we have to move the controller side to side, which is standard with Wii FPSs, but here, during combat sequences that are fast-paced, it made things hard to keep up with, especially considering that aiming feels as good as it looks. Yeah, this is not a good port, considering that the fast-paced gameplay clashes with the slow Wii movement.
But yes, Jurassic the Hunted on Wii is worse, and that does slightly make me feel better about the 360 version. Slightly. But still, I hate this game. I think Activision spent a weekend working on it and didn't really give a shit about it. So why should I? Now if you like this game, that's fine. There's worse things to be into, like heroin. But to me, what seals this game's fate was the grammatical error.